Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale. Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrachatam. Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam. Adavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitan Devam. Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-vedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Kartushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarur Vyasya Kripasindubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are studying Sri Ishopanishad, and today we'll start with the introduction of the book. So this introduction was a lecture given by Srila Prabhupada in Conway Hall in England. He had to present to the audience the importance of the Vedic knowledge. So he gave a brief introduction to what are the Vedas, and then he went forward to explain why do we need the Vedas. For someone who is not aware of the Vedas, it's very difficult or hard to understand why should we accept the Vedas so seriously. People think that knowledge should be, accepting knowledge should be something optional. If I like it, I believe in it, then I need to follow it. So when it comes to following the Vedas, we have to change that perspective. It's a law. It's not a choice that if I like, I follow. It's a law. And if you don't follow, then you bear some consequences. And if you follow, then you bear some consequences. So in order to help people begin to value the importance of the knowledge that is given in the Vedas and the process in which one should accept it, Srila Prabhupada gave this talk. It's a brilliant talk. I mean, he gave it impromptu to an audience, but it looks almost like a thesis paper. So brilliantly, he has explained every single aspect of Vedas, the Vedic knowledge, why it should be accepted, how it should be accepted, from where it should be accepted. So many points that are covered here. So let's look at the slide. Introduction, the importance of Vedic knowledge. This introduction tells us what are the Vedas, how the Vedic knowledge is authentic, and how is it relevant for us, and what is the process of acquiring this Vedic knowledge. Sri Ishopanishad is one of the Vedic literatures. The Vedas are vast. I have mentioned it before. The Vedas, they have 10 to the power 10 Sanskrit verses, which means 10,000 million verses. That's a lot. And Ishopanishad is having just 18 verses, 18 mantras. So the Vedic lore is huge, it's vast, and we will look at a table which explains, or a chart which explains what different kinds of scriptures are within the Vedic, category. Now, before I go to the first paragraph, let me ask you a question. Is Veda a book, or is Veda a subject? Is it a book, or is it a subject? Okay, it's a subject. Very good. It's a subject. All right.
It's a book.
It's a book. It's a book. All right. Okay. So Vedas is a subject which is put forward in the form of a book. But it's a subject. Like mathematics is a subject. But there can be a book on mathematics. Right? Now, if I publish a book on mathematics and I give the title to the book Science, will it change the book and make it a science book? Or it will still remain a mathematics book? What? If a book on mathematics is printed with the title Science or History, will it change the book, or the book will still remain a mathematics book? It will remain a mathematics book. So if I take the Vedic teachings and I put them in Arabic language, and then I start calling those teachings Quran, or I take the Vedic teachings and I put them into Hebrew language, and then I start calling it Bible, then how will you call that teaching as? Quran, Bible, or the Vedas? You call them the Vedas. Correct. So, or let's say I read the Vedas and I try to understand its content. And then with the modern day examples, I explain the same subject matter. And then I publish the book with the title, My Realizations. What that book is, again, that is the Vedas. So people have a hard time, to find reality because they think that reality is contained within one particular book. But it's not so. The subject matter of the Vedas are universal truths, spoken at different times, in different places, in different languages, in different manners, to different degrees. But it is just the same. It's very much the same, right? So that's why Srila Prabhupada begins the introduction to this book by saying, he says what? He says, ladies and gentlemen, today's subject matter is the teachings of the Vedas. What are the Vedas? The Sanskrit verbal root of Veda can be interpreted variously, but the purport is finally one. Veda means knowledge. Veda means knowledge. So if I join a university and I'm doing a course on civil engineering, I'm doing a course on the Vedas, but a part of the Vedas. I'm learning civil engineering, which is also given in the Vedas. It has come from the Vedas. At the same time, someone is doing study of nuclear physics. This knowledge is also given in the Vedas. The science of atoms or particles smaller than atoms, right? So that's why Sripad then continues to write, any knowledge you accept is Veda. For the teachings of the Vedas are the original knowledge. Right? So this is something very important for us to grab on before we discuss this subject further. So as I mentioned, this is a lecture given by Srila Prabhupada in Conway Hall. This is the exactly same picture. And he was delivering this talk, 1969, October 6th, London. And we divide the whole introduction into 4 parts. What are the Vedas? Why we need to accept it? How to get it? The aim and history of the Vedas. Okay. So the Vedas mean knowledge. That's what is covered in the first paragraph. Let's read the first paragraph. Someone please volunteer. Okay. Ratnangi Lakshmanaji. You have to raise your hand if you want to read. Yes, Ratnangi Lakshmanaji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Mm-hmm.
First paragraph. Ladies and gentlemen, today's subject matter is the teachings of the Vedas. What are Vedas? The Sanskrit verbal root of Veda can be interpreted variously, but the purport is finally one. Veda means knowledge. Any knowledge you accept is Veda. For the teachings of the Veda are the original knowledge. In conditioned state, our knowledge is subjected to many deficiencies. The difference between a conditioned soul and a liberated soul is that the conditioned soul has 4 kinds of defects. The first defect is that he must commit mistakes. For example, in our country, Mahatma Gandhi was considered to be a very great personality, but he committed many mistakes. Even at the last stage of his life, his assistant warned Mahatma Gandhi, don't go to the New Delhi meeting. I have some friends and I have heard there is a danger. But he did not hear. He persisted in going and was killed. Even great personalities like Mahatma Gandhi, President Kennedy, there are so many of them, make mistakes. To err is human. This is not one defect of the conditioned soul.
All right, thank you. So what is Vedas? We came to know very succinct definition. Now then he moves forward to explain another subject matter, which is 4 defects of a human being, which every human being has who is a conditioned soul. So in Sanskrit, these 4 defects are called pramada, karnapata, vipralipsa, and brahma. Brahm means to commit mistakes, B-H-R-A-M-A, Brahm. So here he's talking about Brahm, giving an example of Mahatma Gandhi and President Kennedy. They both were shot dead, and they both were informed that they should not go to the public meeting, but they did not listen, and they died. So people do mistakes. He's giving examples of great personalities to show that even great personalities do mistakes. So what to speak of common people? They too do mistakes, right? So then he goes to speak about the second defect, another defect. Please read the second and third paragraph. Okay, whose hand is up? Vidyabhushana Prabhu.
Another defect to be illusion. Illusion means to accept something which is not. Maya. Maya means what is not. Everyone is accepting the body as a self. If I ask you what you are, you will say, I am Mr. John, I am Mr. Man, I am this, I am that. All these are bodily identifications. But you are not this body. This is illusion.
Please read.
The third defect is the cheating propensity. Everyone has the propensity to cheat others. Although a person is full number 1, he possesses himself as very intelligent. Although it is already pointed out that he is an illusion and makes mistakes, he will theorize. I think this is, but he does not even know his own position. He writes books of philosophy, although he is defective. That is his disease. That is cheating.
Correct. Thank you. Let's read the last paragraph now. Okay, Seema Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Lastly, our senses are imperfect. We are very proud of our eyes. Often someone will challenge, can you show me God? But do you have the eyes to see God? You will never see if you haven't the eyes. If immediately the room becomes dark, you cannot even see your hands. So what power do you have to see? We cannot therefore expect knowledge, Veda, with these imperfect senses. With all these deficiencies in conditioned life, we cannot give perfect knowledge to anyone, nor are we ourselves perfect. Therefore, We accept the Vedas as they are.
Yeah, thank you. So Veda, to summarize, Veda means knowledge. And what kind of knowledge? Any kind of knowledge, but specifically we talk about Vedas when it comes to the context of spiritual knowledge. Vedayati dharmam brahmacha vedaha. That scripture, that subject matter, that thing which teaches about dharma and Brahman is called Veda. About duty and about the spiritual substance called Brahman. And the Veda is a sound incarnation of the Lord, Shabda Brahman. Like you go to Jagannath Puri, you might hear the Pandas say, this is Daru Brahman. Daru means wood and Brahman means spiritual substance. So this is wooden spiritual substance. Similarly, the Vedas or the sound of the Vedas, they are known as Shabda Brahman. This is God in the form of sound. Like that's God in the form of wood. This is God in the form of sound. Shabda Brahman. People generally think acquiring spiritual knowledge means acquiring newer and newer information every day. But that's not the fact. Acquiring knowledge or spiritual knowledge means developing a better and better understanding. It's not much to know, but it's every time you need to know the same thing to a greater depth. That is the reason why Srila Prabhupada did not compile so many books. Yeah, he gave many books, but he did not compile so many books because his purpose was these books, you read them again and again, and you develop a deeper and deeper understanding. So advancement means not that I collect new information. Advancement means I deepen my understanding of the same subject matter. Now, different ways of acquiring knowledge. In English, it is called epistemology. Epistemology is the science of acquiring knowledge. How do you acquire knowledge? And there are different branches of knowledge. Ontology, epistemology, theology, cosmology, aesthetics. So epistemology is how do you learn? And we'll study that further ahead. Jiva Goswami has spoken about in one of the Sandarbhas. There are 10 ways of acquiring knowledge, not just 3. So we'll look at that. But before that, we need to understand Vedas means something which gives us universal knowledge. Most people in this world, even if they are interested in spirituality, for them spirituality means ethics. For them spirituality means morality. For them spirituality means how can I be a good person in this world and how can I get good results, success within whatever I do within this world. For them, spirituality is not, how can I get out of this world? So they're interested in my country, in my culture, in my situation, in my family, what will help, what will work. That knowledge is called situational knowledge. It works on a particular situation. But that's not the Vedas. Vedas means universal. At all times, at all places, for all people. That's the Vedic knowledge. That's the standard of Vedic knowledge, right? So here we heard about the flaws. Now let's look at the second part. Why do we need to accept the Vedas? So Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the text, our knowledge is imperfect because we have these 4 defects. When we understand that we have these 4 defects, we have to be very careful about with ourselves, and we have to be also very careful with what people tell us. If 𝗓𝗍 knew mantra is a conditioned soul and she can cheat, she would not have got cheated. 𝗓𝗍 accepted everything mantra said without doubting mantra's sincerity. A person who knows these 4 points will be very careful in putting trust in anyone and everyone. Will not be naive. Will not start thinking, oh, this person seems to be a really good man, good woman. Yes, they may be good, yes, but still, they also have cheating propensity. So, till someone does not become a pure devotee of Krishna, one will have these 4 defects, which means in some situations, they will tell lies. In some situations, they will cheat. They will, of course, do some mistakes also. So this helps us to be more aware of our own mind, which cheats us. And also it helps us to be aware of others who may also cheat us. Cheat us on our material pursuits, path of material pursuits, as well as on the path of spiritual development, right? So you don't trust yourself and you don't trust others much. So then where do you put the trust to get knowledge from? That's where the answer comes. Put the trust on the Vedas, the scriptures. Why? Because they are words of God. They are free from any defect. So why we should accept the Vedas? In summary, there are 7 points which Srila Prabhupada will cover in this introduction. Very beautiful points. And what are those 7 points? First, because our knowledge is imperfect. Second, Vedic knowledge is for all. It's not just for the Hindus. It's for everyone. Third, it's an axiomatic truth. Axiomatic truth means it's a truth which cannot be proven. Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. Like 1 + 1 = 2 is an axiomatic truth. You just accept it. You prove other things on the basis of this truth, that 1 + 1 = 2, right? That's called axiomatic. Then fourth, it comes from Lord Krishna, which means it is not a compilation of human beings. Fifth, it is like a mother. The point that the Vedas is like a mother is to tell us that just like your mother won't cheat you if she's a good mother, the Vedas will never cheat you. Sometimes my mother may not know the answers to every single question I ask her. But though she may not know the answer to every single question I ask her, she is always wishing well for me, right? And I might meet a person on the street who may give me answers to all the questions I ask. But that person may not mean well for me. That person may not have my best interest in his or her mind. So similarly, the Vedas are compared to the mother. They know everything. The Vedas has perfect knowledge. At the same time, more important than that is that the Vedas have been given to us to help us, not to cheat us. Next point, it is called Shabda Pramana. We'll discuss on Pramanas more later, and it gives transcendental knowledge. So that's why the Veda has to be accepted. Let's read the next paragraph. Okay. Pankaj Prabhu, read this paragraph, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dalvatmana. You may call the Vedas Hindu, but Hindu is a foreign name. We are not Hindus. Our real identification is Varnashrama. Varnashrama denotes the followers of the Vedas, those who accept the human society in 8 divisions of Varna and Ashrama. There are 4 divisions of society and 4 divisions of spiritual life. This is called Varnashrama. It is stated in the Bhagavad-gita 4.13. These divisions are everywhere because they are created by God. The division of societies are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Brahmana refers to the very intelligent class of men, those who know what is Brahman. Similarly, the Kshatriyas, the administrator group, are the next intelligent class of men. Then the Vaishyas, the mercantile group. These natural classifications are found everywhere. This is the Vedic principle, and we accept it. Vedic principles are accepted as axiomatic truth, for there cannot be any mistake. That is acceptance. For instance, in India, cow dung is accepted as pure, and yet cow dung is the stool of an animal. In one place, you will find the Vedic injunction that if you touch a stool, you have to take a bath immediately. But in another place, it is said that the stool of a cow is pure. If you smear cow dung in an impure place, that place becomes pure. With our ordinary senses, we can argue this is contradictory. Actually, it is contradictory from the ordinary point of view, but it is not false. It is fact. In Calcutta, a very prominent scientist and doctor analyzed cow dung and found that it contains all antiseptic properties. Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Yes, thank you. Okay. In India, if one person tells another, you must do this, the other party may say, what do you mean? Is this a Vedic injunction? that I have to follow you without any argument. Vedic injunctions cannot interpret it. But ultimately, if you carefully study why these injunctions are there, you'll find that they are all correct. Next paragraph. Vishakha.
The Vedas are not compilations of human knowledge. Vedic knowledge comes from the spiritual world, from Lord Krishna. Another name for the Vedas is Shruti. Shruti refers to that knowledge which is acquired by hearing. It is not experimental knowledge. Shruti is considered to be like a mother. We take so much knowledge from our mother. For example, if you want to know who your father is, who can answer you? Your mother. If the mother says, here is your father, you have to accept it. It is not possible to experiment to find out whether he is your father. Similarly, if you want to know something beyond your experience, beyond your experimental knowledge, beyond the activities of the senses, then you have to accept the Vedas. There is no question of experimenting. It has already been experimented. It is already settled. The version of the mother, for instance, has to be accepted as the truth. There is no other way.
There's no other way. Right? Fine. Now, the Vedic scriptures, it gives us knowledge of three types. But the highest knowledge that it gives us is called transcendental knowledge. Please try to understand there are two terms known as para and apara. If you remember from Bhagavad-gita, para prakriti, apara prakriti. Anyone remembers what para and apara means?
Fallible, infallible.
Okay. Also, para means beyond, apara means within this realm, within this world, correct? Similarly, the knowledge can also be classified as para and apara. Para vidya, apara vidya. Apara vidya means material knowledge. Para vidya means spiritual knowledge. Now, apara vidya is cross material knowledge, something which very much matches with our experience in this world, which agrees with pratyaksha and anuman. To give an example, mathematics. Mathematics is something very gross. You can see it. Okay, I have 2 oranges. I added 3 more. It became 5. Right? This is material knowledge, and it is something which is very easily, comprehended, which can be experienced, which is seen through our eyes and calculated through our brain. So that is apara vidya, which agrees with pratyaksha. It can be seen. But then there is apara vidya, which is subtle, which does not agree with pratyaksha, which means what you see, it's not the reality. So there are so many illusions created by the mind. You see it, but it doesn't exist. But there are so many things you don't see and it exists. Transcendental knowledge means what? It is paravidya, which means material scientific knowledge can neither prove it nor it can disprove it. To give you an example, how can, if someone says, prove the existence of soul, you can also ask that question, can you disprove the existence of soul? No. So just like a person cannot prove its existence by showing you the soul, similarly, one cannot prove its non-existence, because there's nothing there to compare to it. So how do you prove? Right? Someone may challenge, prove that God exists. Another person can challenge, prove that God doesn't exist. Now, if he says, I don't see God, that cannot be a proof. Right? So transcendental knowledge means which cannot be proven by our material senses. That's called paravidya. That's why the whole point of trying to prove it is waste of time. It is already proven, and it has to be accepted like that. That's why Srila Prabhupada mentions in the next paragraph. Let's read the next paragraph. Satish Prabhu.
The Vedas are considered to be the mother, and Brahma is called the grandfather, the forefather, because he was the first to be instructed in the Vedic knowledge. In the beginning, the first living creature was Brahma. He received this Vedic knowledge and imparted it to Narada and other disciples and sons. And they also distributed it to their disciples. In this way, the Vedic knowledge comes down by disciplic succession. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad-gita that Vedic knowledge is understood in this way. If you make experimental endeavor, you come to the same conclusion. But just to save time, you should accept. If you want to know who your father is, and if you accept your mother as the authority, then whatever she says can be accepted without argument. There are three kinds of evidence: pratyaksha, anumana, and shabda. Pratyaksha means direct evidence. Direct evidence is not very good because our senses are not perfect. We are seeing the sun daily and it appears to us just like a small disk, but it is actually far, far larger, many planets. Of what value is this seeing? Therefore, we have to read books. Prabhu, can you scroll down? No, not it. Yeah, but if you receive the knowledge from the authority sources, that is perfect. If you receive a program guide from the radio station authorities, you accept it. You don't deny it. You don't have to make an experiment because it is received from the authoritative sources.
Yes. Coming to the topic of how to get knowledge. So Sripad mentions there are three ways of getting knowledge: pratyaksha, anumana, shabda. But Srila Jiva Goswami says there are 10. Because of these three are most important, only these three are mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. And actually there are 10 ways of getting knowledge, and they are called 10 pramanas: arsha, upamana, arthapatti, abhava, samabhava, aitihya, cheshta, pratyaksha, anumanan, shabda. So what are these 10 ways of getting knowledge? First is arsha. This means you hear the statements of sages or demigods. Example, Brahma Samhita. Next, upamana. Upamana means analogy. You compare one thing with another thing. You compare what you know with what you don't know, and then you explain. That's called upamana, analogy. We see that in Bhagavad-gita so often, right? Anyone can give me an example of upamana from Bhagavad-gita? Okay, now so many hands up.
Ashwat Vriksha and this material.
Very good, thank you. Yes, upside down tree and comparing that to material world. What other example is there in Bhagavad-gita of upama, analogy? So many analogies.
You withdraw your sense, but waters withdraws.
Fire and smoke.
Fire and smoke.
Scorpion in the rice.
Scorpion in the rice. Okay. Changing of clothes and changing of
clothes, old
body. Yeah.
And taking new clothes.
Correct. So that's upama, analogy. You know something and you don't know something. So what you don't know, you explain through what you know. Then arthapatti. Arthapatti means you are deriving some knowledge based on some assumptions and known facts. Means one piece of information leads to a particular derivation. To give you an example, we know humans are alive because they can eat, sleep, reproduce, stuff like that. They have chetna. So when we see animals also doing the same activities, then we conclude animals also have life. They also have chetna. So that's called arthapatti. You know something, and from there you make an observation on the basis of that, and then you conclude. Then abhava. Abhava means Absence of an indicator gives you a knowledge. To give you an example, absence of soul makes a body dead. So then as soon as you see a dead body, what is the conclusion? The soul has left the body. The soul has gone away. And sambhava means inclusive. When I say a family died, it means everyone in the family died. I don't have to say individually, he died, she died, the children died, the parents died. As a family died, everyone died, you know. So there are these all different ways of specifically transmitting knowledge. Aitiya means tradition, passed down from generation to generation, like that. But out of these 10, the 3 are the most important. That's why they are mentioned here. Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda. Pratyaksha means prati akshaha, something which you directly experience, which means you acquire the information through your gyanendriya, eyes, ears, nose, skin. That's called pratyaksha. I see, I believe. I hear, I believe. I touch, I believe. Pratyaksha. Anuman, a step further, but it may also be wrong. To give you an example, it's a rainy day and you're not allowed to go into the classroom to count how many kids are there. So you look at the number of umbrellas hanging outside and you say 10 umbrellas. So there must be 10 kids inside. That's anuman. But that anuman can be wrong. Why? It's possible someone did not bring an umbrella. It's possible 3 kids came with the same umbrella, right? So that anuman has chances of doing mistake. Darwin's theory of evolution is anuman. It's neither pratyaksha, neither it has some authority. It's anuman. It may be true. Perhaps something like that happened. Stephen Hawking, speaking about the Big Bang theory, is anuman. There's no pratyaksha, there's no shabda. It's an assumption. Perhaps something like this happened. So this anuman is also in English, the word used for that is called speculation. So Sripad uses this word so often that modern people who are so proud of their knowledge, they are only speculative. They just make some assumptions. This is how it is, that is how it is. But it is neither authoritative, nor do you generally see that happening. And finally, the last is called Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman, sometimes people say Shabda Praman means knowledge acquired by hearing. No, that's not Shabda. The complete definition of Shabda is knowledge acquired by hearing from the Shrutis or the scriptures. That is called Shabda. Not that I hear from anyone and that becomes Shabda Praman. No. Knowledge acquired by hearing from the Vedas. That is called Shabda Praman. So that's the most correct one, the most authentic one. Okay. Let's see the 2 approaches mentioned there. We'll read the paragraph first and we'll come to this. Yeah, who is there to read? Okay. Gopi Manohar Prabhu, please read this paragraph. Vedic knowledge is called Shabda Praman.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Vedic knowledge is called Shabda Praman. Another name is Shruti. Shruti means that this knowledge has to be received simply by oral reception. The Vedas instruct that in order to understand transcendental knowledge, we have to hear from the authority. Transcendental knowledge is knowledge from beyond this universe. Within this universe is material knowledge, and beyond this universe is transcendental knowledge. We cannot even go to the end of the universe. So how can we go to the spiritual world? Thus, to acquire full knowledge is impossible.
Okay. Next paragraph.
Should I continue?
Someone else, please read. Next is Tulasi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. There is a spiritual sky. There is another nature, which is beyond manifestation and non-manifestation. But how will you know that there is a sky where planets and inhabitants are eternal? All this knowledge is there, but how will you make experiments? It is not possible. Therefore, you have to take the assistance of Vedas. This is called Vedic knowledge. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we are accepting knowledge from the highest authority, Krishna. Krishna is accepted as the highest authority by all classes of men. I am speaking first of the two classes of transcendentalists. One class of transcendentalists is called impersonalistic, Mayavadi. They are generally known as Vedantists led by Chakravarti, and there is another class of transcendentalists called Vaishnavas, like Ramanujacharya, Madhusudanavisnudas, Vishnu. Both the Shankara Sampradaya and the Vaishnava Sampradaya have accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shankaracharya is supposed to be an impersonalist who preached impersonalism, impersonal Brahman, but it is a fact that he is a covered personalist. In his commentary on the Bhagavad-gita, he wrote, Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond this cosmic manifestation. And he then again confirmed that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, is Krishna. He has come as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. He particularly mentioned the names of his father,
Yeah, just a second. Yes.
and mother. So Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by all transcendentalists. There is no doubt about it. Our source of knowledge is Krishna consciousness in the Bhagavad-gita, which comes directly from Krishna. We have published Bhagavad-gita as it is because we accept Krishna as he is speaking without any interpretation. That is Vedic knowledge. Since the Vedic knowledge is pure, we accept it. Wherever Krishna says, we accept. But whatever Krishna says, we accept. This is Krishna consciousness. That saves much time. If you accept the right authority or source of knowledge, then you save much time. For example, there are two systems of knowledge in the material world, inductive and deductive. From deductive, you accept that man is mortal. Your father says man is mortal. Your sister says man is mortal. Everyone says man is mortal. But you do not experiment. You accept it as a fact that man is mortal. If you want to research to find out whether man is mortal, you have to study each and every man. And you may come to think that there may be some man who is not dying, but you have not seen him yet. So in this way, your research will never be finished. In Sanskrit, this process is called aroha, the ascending process. If you want to attain knowledge by any personal endeavor, by exercising your imperfect senses, you will never come to the right conclusions. That is not possible.
Yes, thank you. So I hope it's very clear what Sripad is trying to explain here. Inductive and deductive process, aroha and avaroha, descending and ascending. The modern science is completely based on the ascending process. It's called bottom to top approach. But the Vedic knowledge system of acquiring Vedic knowledge is top to bottom approach. It comes down. It's not achieved. It is given as a reward, as a blessing. So that's the whole understanding. It is received. It is already proven. It is already experimented with. People have got the desired results. The path is already built. You just have to walk on it and come to the same conclusion, same realization. So we don't have to find the truth. The truth has already been found. You just have to accept it. So how do we acquire this Vedic knowledge then? So from a guru, a devotee of Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada mentions two qualifications of a guru. Samitpanihi Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Shrotriyam and Brahmanishtam. That person has rightly heard the Vedic message from the right source, and that person must be personally firmly situated in Brahman, fully situated in spiritual life. Those are the two qualifications of a person who can be a guru for the Vedas. Let's read the next verse, next paragraph. Vaiji Mataji.
Hare Krishna. There is a statement in the Brahma Samhita, just ride on the airplane which runs at the speed of mind. A material airplanes can run 2000 miles per hour. But what is the speed of mind? You're sitting at home, you immediately think of India, say 10,000 miles away. And at once it is in your home. Your mind has gone there. The mind's speed is so swift. Therefore, it is stated, if you travel at this speed for millions of years, you'll find that the spiritual sky is unlimited. It is not possible even to approach it. Therefore, the Vedic injunction is that one must approach. The word compulsory is used. A bona fide spiritual master, a guru. And what is the qualification of a spiritual master? He is one who has rightly heard the Vedic message from the right source, and he must practically be firmly established in Dharma. These are the two qualities he must have. Otherwise, he's not bona fide. Hare Krishna.
Okay, next paragraph. Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This Krishna consciousness movement is completely authorized from Vedic principles. In Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says the actual aim of Vedic research is to find out Krishna. In Brahma Samhita, it is also stated Krishna, Govinda, has innumerable forms, but they are all one. They are not like our forms, which are fallible. His form is infallible. My form has a beginning, but his form has no beginning. It is Ananta. And his form, so many multiforms, has no end. My form is sitting here and not in my apartment. You are sitting there and not in your apartment. But Krishna can be everywhere at one time. He can sit down in Goloka Vrindavan, and at the same time, he is everywhere, all prevailing. He is original, the oldest. But whenever you look at a picture of Krishna, you will find a young boy, 15 or 20 years old. You will never find an old man. You have seen pictures of Krishna as a charioteer from Bhagavad-gita. At that time, he was not less than 100 years old. He had great grandchildren, but he looked just like a boy. Krishna, God, never becomes old. That is his supreme power. And if you want to search out Krishna by studying the Vedic literature, then you will be baffled. It may be possible, but it is very difficult. But you can very easily learn about him from his devotees. His devotees can deliver him to you. Here he is, take him. That is the potency of Krishna's beauty.
Yes, thank you. So the way of acquiring Vedic knowledge is you receive it from someone who already knows it. That's the way. You accept it, you start believing it, and then when you start believing it, then someday you also begin to understand it. We have discussed this before. The way to accept spiritual knowledge is first you accept, then you understand. The way to accept material knowledge is first you understand, then you accept. You know, here, if I don't accept, I'll not understand, because that knowledge will not get revealed to me. So first is I accept it. Knowing that, this knowledge cannot be wrong. And once I've accepted it, then slowly, slowly, the knowledge also begins to get revealed to me, and I begin to understand it. So that's the approach should be taken. Now I have a question to ask here. We came to know, so should we completely reject Pratyaksha and Anuman? Because it has fault. So should we completely reject it? No. We should not. No. Okay. Yes, fine. Thank you. Yes, we should not. So what we should accept and what we should reject? What we should accept and what we should reject. Based on Shabda Praman. Very good. Thank you. Yes. So based on Shabda Praman, we accept whatever Shabda Praman says, we accept that. Shabda Praman says the sun is not two-dimensional, it's a three-dimensional sphere. But when I look at the sun, to me it appears like a two-dimensional plate. So I reject that pratyaksha. But when the Vedas say milk is sweet in nature, its rasa it's madhu. And when I taste, I find milk again sweet. So that time we accept. So pratyaksha is not faulty, but pratyaksha should be on the basis of Shabda. If my observation agrees with what the Vedas say, my observation is correct. I should accept it. If my observation disagrees with what the Vedas say, I should reject my observation and accept what the Vedas says. That's how it should be. That's why in Bhagavad-gita, again, this word comes, 9.2, Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. That the knowledge of bhakti is pratyaksha avagamam. It can be realized. It can be experienced. That experience is not my mental concoction, because it is experience of something factual, something real. So that can be accepted. But then my own conjectures, which I have made in my mind, my imaginations, which do not agree with the Vedas, that has to be rejected. Okay. Now the Vedic lore is huge. I'll show you a table from the handbook. It's given in your handbook, English handbook, which we have shared, page number 89. So these are the different types of Vedic scriptures. It's vast. You can see the entire Vedic knowledge can be divided into two parts, Shruti and Smriti. Is it visible? Yes, Shruti and Smriti. Okay. So the problem with the impersonalists is that they will say that we will not accept this part. We will only accept this part. So they don't accept the Puranas, the Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata. They won't accept. The impersonalists, the Mayavadi school, the Advaitavad school. They only accept the Shruti aspect. That's why if you tell them evidences from Smriti, they will say, we don't accept Smriti, don't talk about Smriti, talk about Shruti. But in Vaishnava Sampradaya and followers of Vyasadeva, they accept the whole thing as Vedas, whole package as Vedas. So in the Shrutis, you can see Shruti has what? It has the book called the Vedas, which are 4, Rig, Yajur, Sam, Atharva. We already discussed this in the first class. That is divided into Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. Correct? We discussed this. Then it also has the Upavedas. Upavedas are Dhanurveda, Ayurveda, Gandharva Veda, Upaveda. Okay, secondary Vedic knowledge. Also has, Shilpa-shastra and all that. Fine. Then there are Vedangas. We discussed that in our Sanskrit class. Kalpa, Siksha, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chanda, and Jyotish. So this is called the Shruti. Now the Smriti is again itself very huge, which has ritual sutras Tantras, also known as Agamas, Puranas, Itihasas, Shaddarshan. Shaddarshan means 6 kinds of philosophy. Itihasa means histories. Puranas means those books which make the Vedic knowledge complete. Purayati iti Puranaha, which makes the knowledge complete. Tantras, okay. Yantra, Tantra, Mantra. It's a big subject. I won't get into it. So, Tantra is how to do it. Yantra is the tools required to do it. And Mantra is the sound that is to be chanted. So, these are 3 coming together. Tantras are not just black magic. In ISKCON also we have Tantra Vidya. So, Tantra basically means how you do something. That's called Tantra. It's given in the Agamas. Okay. Then you'll see Tantras are of different types. Tamasic, Rajasic and Sattvic. Tamasic Tantra Vidya is what the Tantrics use, known as black magic, which is given by Lord Shiva to Parvati. And there is Sattvic Tantra, which we use, known as Vaishnava Agamas and Pancharatras. That's Sattvic Tantra. Like for example, during the time of initiation, one should have 5 sanskars, known as Pancha Sanskar. You should get a tilak on your forehead, you should get a kantimala, right? You should sit for a yagya, your spiritual name will change, you are given a mantra, that is called Pancha Sanskar, 5 kinds of things given on the day of initiation. So that, from where do we get it? If someone asks you, from where do you get this information? So you say it's given in Vaishnava Agamas and Pancharatras. Okay, it's not whimsically done. It is given in the Vedas somewhere. Pancharatras. Why these books are called Pancharatras? Because once Brahmaji forgot the Vedic knowledge and Krishna had to do a crash course for him. So in 5 nights, he gave him the entire Vedic knowledge. So that's why it was called Pancharatra. In 5 nights, complete Vedic knowledge, right? So we followed that. What of initiation done online? When initiation is done online, still you get these 5 things. No, you get the name, you put kantimala, you put tilak. Just the medium is different. So it's given in Pancharatra. Nectar of Devotion, the book we'll study, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We will also study Upadeshamrita, right? They come in which division here? Where do they fall? Are they Puranas? No. Are they Itihasas? No. Are they Shruti Shastra? No. Where do they come? They come in Tantra Shastra. And in Tantra Shastra, they come in Vaishnava Agama and Pancharatra. Okay. So this is just for us to know where do these books fall. Then there is different kinds of ritual sutras known as Shrauta Sutra, Griya Sutra, Dharma Sutra, Dharma Shastra. It's a big, I mean, whole subject is a big subject. We are not going to detail. Then there is Shaddadarshana. Shaddadarshana is also known as Nyaya. And there are 6 kinds of philosophies: Vedanta, Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, and Sankhya. We accept this one, Vedanta, and we reject the other 5. We accept this, Vedanta. So when you combine all of this, this is known as the Vedas. This whole thing is called the Vedas. And we accept then certain sections of it, which are sattvic in nature. Okay. It can take almost 7 to 8 sessions just to discuss this whole chart. What individual thing is, how they are connected to each other. It's a big topic, but we don't need to know all that. Just to get some idea, I showed this. What is Narada Pancharatra? It's one of the Pancharatras. Yes. We heard Agastya Muni teach Narada Muni 5 days. This Shastra is called Pancharatra. Yes. So any scripture which is taught like that in 5 days, it's called Pancharatra. Pancharatra. In 5 nights it was taught. All right. Okay. We'll take a break. Meet after the break. 3 minutes.
Hare Hare
Krishna. Last section, the aim and history of the Vedas. So what is the aim of the Vedas? The actual aim of Vedic research is to find out Krishna. Yes, reference Bhagavad-gita 15.15 and the history of the Vedas. Originally, there was one Veda which was divided into 4 by Vyasadeva based on the content. And after he did that, then he put the essence of the Vedas or the ultimate conclusion of the Vedas in the books called Upanishads. After he wrote down that, then for less intelligent people, he compiled the Mahabharata and the 17 Puranas. These 17 Puranas have the names Vishnu, Naradiya, Padma, Garud, Varaha, Brahmanda, Brahma-vaivarta, Markandeya, Bhavishya, Vamana, Brahma, Matsya, Kurma, Linga, Shiva, Skanda, Agni. Out of them, 5 are sattvic, 6 are rajasic, 6 are tamasic. When we say a particular Veda is sattvic or rajasic or tamasic, it doesn't mean that they don't talk about knowledge which is of other guna. Rajasic Puranas may also give knowledge of sattvic nature. Tamasic Purana can also give knowledge of sattvic nature. The idea here is people who are sattvic in nature, they get attracted to Puranas which are mentioned here as sattvic. People are sattvic, not the scriptures as such, right? Similarly, there are people who are rajasic and they get attracted to Puranas which are called rajasic. And there are people who are tamasic and they get attracted to Puranas which are tamasic. So he compiled Puranas for different types of people, 17 of them. And then still he was not satisfied because he knew this doesn't solve the purpose. So he had to again sit down at work. And then what he does next, the compilation that is called Vedanta Sutra. Let me just share the slide again. Then he compiles the Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence of the Upanishads, the last word in the Vedas. And after he compiles the Vedanta Sutra, then he explains the Vedanta Sutra in the book known as Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the last Purana, the 18th Purana. So Srila Prabhupada concludes by the end of this introduction that a person should therefore has knowledge of these 2 books, Bhagavad-gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then that person's knowledge is complete. Okay, that is what is explained in the last 2 paragraphs of this book. Okay, let's read this paragraph. Someone would volunteer to read, please. Okay, we have some hands up. Sita Mataji, please read this. We cannot hear you. Okay. Ritesh Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna Guru. Originally, there was only one Veda, and there was no necessity of reading it. People were so intelligent and had such sharp memories that by once hearing from the lips of the spiritual master, they will understand. They will immediately grasp the whole purport. But 5,000 years ago, Vyasadeva put the Vedas in writing for the people in this age, Kali Yuga. He knew that eventually the people will be short-lived. Their memories will be very poor, and their intelligence will not be very sharp. Therefore, let me teach this Vedic knowledge in writing. He divided the Vedas into 4, Rig, Sam, Atharva, and Yajur. Then he gave the charge of these Vedas to his different disciples. He then thought of the less intelligent class of men, Stri, Sudra, and Dvija Bandhu. He considered the human class, and Sudra class, worker class, and Dvija-bandhu. Dvija-bandhu refers to those who are born in a high family but who are not properly qualified. A man who is born in the family of a Brahmana but is not qualified as a Brahmana is called Dvija-bandhu. For these persons, he compiled the Mahabharata, called the History of India, and the 18 Puranas. These are all part of the Vedic literature: the Puranas, the Mahabharata, the 4 Vedas, and the Upanishads. The Upanishads are part of the Vedas. Then Vyasadeva summarized all Vedic knowledge for scholars and philosophers in what is called the Vedanta Sutra. This is the last word of the Vedas.
It's the last word of the Vedas. All right. So here we complete the introduction. Any questions on this introduction or what we discussed on the introduction before we go to the next chapter, Invocation? If you have a question, then you can keep your hand up. If you are having the hand up for reading, you can put it down for some time. Okay. Any question on the introduction? Yes, Vaishnava.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. When you were talking about the 4 defects of a human being, you'd given I did not get the 4 names in Sanskrit. Can you please tell me? Because Pramada, Brahma, I think these were the only 2 that I got. If you can give me the 4.
So first is Brahma. Brahma means to fall in illusion. Fine. Then the next is Kārana-pāṭava. Kārana-pāṭava, which means imperfect senses. Okay. And then there are 2 more. One is Vipralipsa and one is Pramada. So Pramada can mean sometimes mistake. So Brahma and Pramada, they are interchangeable, but basically one of them is mistake, the other one is illusion, and Vipralipsa is cheating. So these are Sanskrit terms.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Anything else? Brahma, Pramada, Vipralipsa. Yes, Ashok Prabhu.
Prabhuji, it is said there is one Vedas, Yajurveda. They were divided into 4. And Yajurveda ultimately has been considered as miscellaneous Veda. When original Veda was Yajurveda.
No. Atharva is considered as miscellaneous.
Okay.
Not Yajur. Okay. Anything else? No. Fine. So we go to the next chapter, which is called Invocation. And this is a verse which you have to memorize, the invocation. Very nice verse. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidang Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. So this is known as invocation prayer, also known as Mangalacharana. The purpose of this prayer is, it defines the subject matter that will be discussed in the book. What is that subject matter? That subject matter is called here Purna. Purna means complete. It's an indirect way of addressing absolute truth. The absolute truth is addressed as Purna, complete, supremely complete. So this book is going to talk about that supremely complete personality or truth. Om Purnam Adaha Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. I already mentioned it before, the Upanishads, they don't talk in a direct language. They talk in the form of riddles, puzzles, something difficult to understand. Why? Because Upanishads are meant for intellectual people. And intellectual people, they don't find it fun if everything is told to them in a very simple manner. They find it more fun when it is given to them in the form of a riddle. And then they will scratch their head trying to understand, what does this mean? And this will give them a lot of satisfaction. Oh, I have uncovered the truth. I've done a big job today, right? So Upanishads, that's why they don't talk in a simple language. They always talk in the form of riddles. So you look at this verse, the word Purnam, or related to the word Purnam, how many times it has come? 7 times. Purnam, Purnam, Purnat, Purnasya, Purnam, 7 times. The simplest way of explaining this mantra or this verse is Om Purnam Adaha. That is Purna. That means the Supreme Lord is Purna. Purnam Idam. This, the world where I live in, this is also Purna. Okay? Purna Purna Mudachyate. From that Purna, this Purna has come. Fine. So that is Purna, this is Purna. From that Purna, this Purna has come. Now, if you reduce something from something, what is left is less than before. 10 mangoes, you took 5 out of them. How many will be left? 5. But then here, the next 2 lines says, it says, Purnasya Purnamadaya. Though from that Purna, this Purna has come, Purnam eva vashishate. Those 10 mangoes remain 10 mangoes. That Purna remains Purna. That Purna does not get reduced, which means it can infinitely supply, and at the same time it can remain infinite. So in mathematics, you say infinity minus infinity is equal to 0? No, infinity. Infinity plus infinity is equal to infinity. Same principle is explained here. Now, from that absolute, this world has come. That absolute remains absolute, complete. That's the definition of absolute, Purna. Okay. Fine. That's the meaning of this verse or this mantra. Read the translation, please. Sadaharinam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation joined Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because he is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance.
Yes, he remains the complete balance. That is the definition of God, which means nothing can be removed from him. He has everything. He contains it. This particular mantra can be summarized in this slide. Wholeness and completeness of the absolute truth. The invocation describes the objective of the book, The Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead. By repeated recognition of his various types of completeness, Sri Ishopanishad establishes the supreme position of the personality of Godhead. Fine. Now we will look at what some of the different acharyas, they explain about this particular mantra. Technically, this verse is not a part of Ishopanishad. This is just like an introduction to the book. So which was, let's say, added later. So in this whole purport, if you'll see, when we read through, Srila Prabhupada does not mention the word Krishna. he will mention the word absolute truth. Whereas in Bhagavad-gita, he mentions the word Krishna more. Why he does so? Because his purpose of writing Sri Ishopanishad was he wanted to get those people who are impersonalists in nature into the fold of Krishna consciousness. So initially, he's not introducing to them that Krishna is God or Bhagavan, but he's introducing to them what they already accept, absolute truth, param satya. So that's the strategy he's following, to make the people have that shift very easily from impersonalism to personalism. I mentioned it in the first class. Upanishads are books meant for those who are just coming out of the intoxication of material life. So they are not really ready now to understand who is Bhagavan. But then they are okay to understand the material world is a place of suffering and there is a spiritual reality. So that is being mentioned here indirectly. Now we'll look at these individual sections of the mantra. Purnam adaha, purnam idam, purnat purnam uddachyate, purnasya purnam adaya, purnam eva vashishyate. 4 parts. The whole purport that Srila Prabhupada has given on this mantra is divided into these 4 parts. He explains them individually in the purport. So I explained to you already what these 4 mean. Now let's read through the purport. First paragraph. Dev Prabhu.
The complete whole or the supreme absolute truth is the complete personality of Godhead. Realization of impersonal Brahman or of Paramatma. The super soul is incomplete realization of the absolute complete. The supreme personality of Godhead is Satchit Ananda, Vigra. Realization of the impersonal Brahman is realization of his Sat feature or his aspect of eternity. And Paramatma realization is realization of his Sat and Chit features, his aspects of eternity and knowledge. But realization of the personality of Godhead is realization of all the transcendental features, Sat, Chit, and Ananda bliss. When one realizes the Supreme Person, he realizes these aspects of the absolute truth in their completeness. Vigra means form, thus the complete whole is not formless. If he were formless, or if he were less than his creation in any other way, he could not be complete. The complete whole must contain everything both within and beyond our experience. Other, he cannot be complete.
Thank you. So here what is explained is that the absolute truth becomes complete when we accept all the different aspects of the absolute truth. Some people will only accept the Brahman aspect. Some people will accept only the Paramatma aspect. But those who understand the Bhagavan aspect, they understand God fully. Others also understand, but they understand partially, only to some extent, not to the full, complete extent. So in this regard, some acharyas have commented and they've explained that, are you able to see the slide? No, I don't think so. Fine. So this is how they explain. You see, when one understands Bhagavan, then one understands Sat feature 100%, Chit feature 100%, and one understands Anand feature also 100%. And one also understands that Bhagavan has a form. But when people are not on that level of realization and they're on a lower level of realization, let's say they're on the level of realization of Paramatma, then they understand Sat feature 100%, they understand Chit feature 100%, but the Ananda aspect is not 100%. And when someone has impersonal realization of God, that person understands Sat feature to 100%, but Chit and Ananda are not 100%. So a person who is impersonalist also gets spiritual happiness. But that spiritual happiness is not equal to the spiritual happiness that a personalist gets. A personalist will get 100% spiritual happiness, complete ananda, which is known as bhakti ananda or seva ananda. And what an impersonalist gets is called brahmananda, which is happiness, but not complete happiness. Okay? Now, we all are looking for completeness in life, wholeness in life. We all want to become more fulfilled than before. But the way we do that is we manipulate material energy. And that's how we try to become complete. I don't have this, let me get it. I don't have that, let me get that. And in that way, we try to become more and more complete than before. But the problem is we are already complete and we are not realizing that completeness. We are suffering because we have forgotten our completeness. We are not honoring our completeness. We are looking for that completeness outside us, whereas that completeness is inside us. So a person who tries to realize the completeness of absolute truth also begins to realize the completeness of the self. When I need things outside me to be happy, I am not happy. Why? Because happiness is inside me. And when I depend on things outside me to be happy, then those things control my state of happiness. So here in this regard, we understand Bhagavan is complete, which means Bhagavan should have 4 things. Any complete thing has these 4 things. What are these 4 things? Nama, Guna, Rupa, Lila. Right? Any complete thing has these things. Nama, name, Rupa, form, Guna, qualities, Lila, activities. So when absolute truth is complete, or I have complete knowledge of absolute truth, then I have knowledge about absolute truth's name, I have knowledge about absolute truth's form, I have knowledge about absolute truth's qualities, and I also have knowledge about absolute truth's activities. Then I understand absolute truth fully, completely. We chant in Guru Ashtaka prayer, right? We say in the verse number 5. What is that verse? Shiratika madhavayor madhurya lila gunarupanam nam. Right? Gunarupanam nam. Who's Radha Madhav's? Right? Gunarupanam nam. And lila. You understand step by step, slowly, slowly. Aswadan, you relish that. So that is complete knowledge. Fine. So when people, they begin to understand that I'm incomplete, but the Supreme Lord can allow me to be complete, then their search on the path of spiritual life begins. A person who is satisfied with Brahman realization is like a person who is hungry and is satisfied just smelling the aroma of the food. A person who is on the level of Paramatma realization is hungry, he has smelled the aroma of the food, he has seen the food, and he has gotten happy. A person who is on Bhagavan realization is hungry, he has smelled the aroma, has seen the food, eaten it, tasted it, experienced it. So then that realization is complete. Bhakti means that you get involved into the process. Bhakti means that you get involved into the experience. Some people, they want knowledge alone, but they don't want the experience. Knowledge does not bring completeness. Experience brings completeness. Right? That's why we don't just study Bhagavad-gita, we also chant Hare Krishna. We want to experience Bhagavan. We just don't want to know Bhagavan. Right? That makes our realization complete. So the point to take away from here is, if I'm experiencing incompleteness in my spiritual life, that means I'm not sufficiently experiencing Bhagavan. I might be knowing Bhagavan, I might be studying Bhagavan, I might be telling others about Bhagavan, but I'm not experiencing Krishna. And because I'm not experiencing Krishna, it's like I'm hungry, I'm just smelling the food, I'm just seeing the food, but I'm not eating the food. If I don't eat, it's not going to nourish me completely. Right? So incompleteness means my experience of Krishna is incomplete. You can apply that to every single thing I do. My chanting is incomplete if by the end of my chanting, I have not experienced Krishna through that chanting. My study of Gita is incomplete if by studying Bhagavad-gita, I have not experienced Krishna. My honoring of prasadam, Mahaprasadam, is incomplete if after eating that Mahaprasadam, I have not experienced Krishna. No, my association with devotees is incomplete if after doing sadhu sangha, I have not experienced Krishna. And because it's incomplete, it doesn't satisfy me. But if it is complete, I'll be completely happy. That we take from this mantra for our personal life. Okay, let's read further. Let's read the next paragraph. Who would like to read? Anisha Mataji. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The complete whole personality of Godhead has immense potencies, and all of them are as complete as He is. Therefore, His phenomenal or material world is also complete by itself. The 24 elements of which this material universe is a temporary manifestation are completely adjusted to produce complete things necessary for the maintenance and subsistence of this universe. No extraneous effort by any other unit is required for this maintenance. The universe has its own time fixed by the energy of the complete whole, and when that time is complete, this temporary manifestation will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete.
Oh, thank you. So this second paragraph talks about this world being a complete place, this universe being a complete place, the material creation of Krishna being complete. And how Srila Prabhupada says it's complete, he says, for the maintenance of this universe, nothing has to be borrowed from outside. So many countries in this world exist. They are developed nations, but they are not independent because they depend on other countries for so many resources, electricity, oil, gas, food products, so many things. There are some countries, they don't grow any food. All the food comes from other countries, right? So they depend on sources outside themselves. But Krishna has created a universe for which anything that universe needs, nothing is taken from outside. The universe produces itself. You need water, the water is inside the universe. You need fire, fire is inside the universe. You need air, air is inside the universe. It never happens that Brahma of one universe has to sign a contract with Brahma of another universe. There is shortage of water, please supply us some water. Doesn't happen. The creation is complete. Complete. So that's how the universe is made by Krishna. We cannot do that. We can never make that. If we create a factory, our factory will need resources which is produced by someone else. We can never make a factory that I'm producing the raw material, I'm using the raw material, then I'm making the product. No. But Krishna's creation is that entity in itself is complete. And it creates itself, it maintains itself, it destroys itself. That's how his creation is, complete creation. Nothing is needed from outside. Nothing is needed. Okay. Srila Prabhupada mentions in this regard, he has his own way of, using the Vedic truths to comment on social problems. So he says, when God has made this world complete, where is the question of scarcity? There's no scarcity. There is no problem of population, explosion. No, he says, let people become 10 times of what they are now. and still Krishna can feed them. Right? There's no question of population explosion. What will happen? There's just scarcity is because of our mismanagement. God will supply food, don't worry. Become obedient to him, then he will supply everything. All right. Next paragraph. Next paragraph is about us, how we are complete. Venkat Bhatt Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Venkatranam Prabhu. All facilities are given to a small complete units, namely the living beings of the to enable them to realize the complete whole. All forms of completeness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. The human form of life is a complete manifestation of the consciousness of the living being, and it is obtained after evolving through 8,400,000 species. Sorry, 8,400 lakh species of living in the cycle of birth and death. If in the human life of full consciousness, the living entity does not realize the completeness in realization of the complete whole, he loses the chance to realize his completeness and is again put into the evaluation of cycle by the law of material nature.
Thank you. This is a very nice line. We can note it down and recall it at times of confusion, difficulties. All forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. We do experience incompleteness in life. Loneliness is another form of incompleteness. I'm lonely, I'm alone, I don't have anyone, which means I'm incomplete. So it says all forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. Incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. Avidya, ignorance. That's the cause of my problems. So when I develop knowledge, complete knowledge of the complete whole, then I'll not experience loneliness, incompleteness, I lack something. Then I'll experience Purna, I am complete. Correct? That's the goal of Vedic study. To come to that realization, I am complete. I am full. I have everything. I don't lack anything. Only a person who is in that state of mind is a person who is happy. And only a person who is in that state of mind can do something good for others. Because a person who lacks, how can that person give? That person can never give. Right? Only a person understands, I don't lack, can give, can actually give. But anyone who thinks I lack, that person's giving is also another form of taking. That person gives to take. So this is a deep message here, to come to that state of being, to appreciate one's completeness. And the simplest way to do that is, by the end of the day, I should think, I should meditate, and whatever I have is enough to keep me happy. I don't need more to be happy. If this cannot make me happy, nothing will make me happy. Right? That's what Vamanadev told to Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj said, only 3 footsteps? And what did Vamanadev say? He said, if these 3 steps cannot make me happy, then whatever you give me will not make me happy. Right? That's all I need to be happy. So this kind of completeness has to be practiced, and one has to tell oneself about it. Okay. One has to tell oneself about it. Right? The goal of human life is what? The goal of human life is to experience this completeness, to realize this completeness. That's the goal of human form of life. I already have it, I need to realize it. However, most of the people in this world, they are running in a race. I don't have, let me get, I don't have. I don't have, let me get more and more and more and more and more. Then I'll be happy. But the Vedas, they are telling us, you're born to realize that you are complete. It's already there. You're born to realize that. That's the goal of your human form. That's why you're born. And when you do that, then your human life is successful. Okay, so that's the now Bhagavan is complete, the world is complete, I am complete, but I have forgotten my completeness. So is there a process which is complete, which can help me understand that I am complete? Yes, there is a process also. It's a complete process which can help me understand that I am complete. Right? So that process is explained in the Vedas. Okay, you do this, and in this way you can realize your completeness again. Last paragraph. I think that's the last paragraph here. No, 2 more to go. Okay, next we'll read. Divya, no, it's read already. Sanatan Nitai Prabhu. You also read, right? I did not read.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Because we do not know that there is a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, we make efforts to utilize the resources of nature to create a so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. Because the living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being doubted with the complete whole, the misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. The hand of a body is complete unit only as long as it is attached to the complete body. When the hand is severed from the body, it may appear like a hand, but it actually has none of the potencies of a hand. Similarly, living beings are part and parcel of the complete whole. And if they are severed from the complete whole, then the illusory representation of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. Hare Krishna.
Okay, next paragraph. Lokesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. The completeness of human life can be realized only when one engages in the service of the complete whole. All services in this world, whether social, political, communal, international, or even interplanetary, will remain incomplete until they are dovetailed with the complete whole. When everything is dovetailed with the complete whole, the attached parts and parcels also become complete in themselves. Hare Krishna.
All right. So by realizing my relationship with Krishna, complete relationship with Krishna, I experience completeness. And incompleteness in life is because of not knowing about my relationship with Krishna. I will stop here. Any questions or comments? So we covered 2 chapters today. Tomorrow we'll have then discussion on chapter number 1, mantra number 1, Ishavasya Sarva. If your hand is up for reading, you can put it down, please. If it's for question, yes, you can keep it up.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes.
Prabhuji, you have said these 3 very important statements, that we should experience Krishna after taking prasadam, we should experience Krishna after chanting, and probably we should experience Krishna after going to temple and attending aartis also. Means at the end of every spiritual process, we should experience Krishna. My question is, we are not, what does this exactly mean? That we should feel that everything, whatever has been attended, it is devoted to Krishna? And if we are not realizing that insight, which we are often not, what is the process to feel that at the end, we get involved and feel and have experience of Krishna?
So your question is, how do we experience Krishna after the activity is done?
Yes, if we are not experiencing in the right spirit, then how do we have it?
Yeah, so then that means we are not doing the activity in the right spirit, which means we are not doing the activity with the right understanding, with the right attitude. Two things. My understanding is incomplete and my approach is incomplete, or attitude is wrong. So understanding is developed better by studying the scriptures and understanding them better than before. That's how you work on your understanding aspect. And on the attitude aspect, you change that through association with devotees. When you meet a devotee who has a better attitude than you learn from that devotee.
Prabhuji, is this an example of non-experience of Krishna, that unattentive chanting? When we are chanting, when mind goes somewhere else, we are in the temple in the arti, but still thinking of the household. Is it that kind of
chanting? That means your chanting is incomplete. So if chanting is incomplete, it will give me incomplete experience of Krishna. Right? So my chanting is proper, attentive, then it gives me complete experience of Krishna. So it's my activity, how do I do it, with what knowledge I do it, and with what attitude I do it. That brings it complete. So we have to then learn everything. First, someone is not chanting attentively. Okay, let's start chanting attentively. I am chanting attentively, but my understanding is not correct. Let me rectify my understanding. My understanding is fine. I know the holy name is name of Krishna. I know the purpose of life is to chant without wanting any material things in return. But then what is my attitude? Am I chanting so that by hearing my chanting, Krishna will be happy? Or I am chanting because by chanting I'll be happy?
Yes. But that is not easy. In 𝗪 also it is written, 𝗪𝗵𝗿 nanurag, that I have not been able to develop the love for Krishna's name.
That is true. It's not easy. So that's why we will not have complete experience of Krishna till we don't do it like that. We'll have incomplete experience of Krishna. It will not be complete. When we start doing that, then it gives us complete experience of Krishna. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, one has to chant offenselessly. Right? Then it gives complete experience of Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Understood the spirit. That is chanting and should be attentive and more association with the devotees.
Yes, we'll change our attitude. Okay, Sanatan Nitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just one small question here. That when we are understanding Ishopanishad, is it part of, can this be considered as following Jnana Yoga, Prabhuji?
If you would study Ishopanishad on your own, yes. But if you are studying with Bhaktivedanta purpose, no.
Okay, then it is a part of Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, David Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. Jesus said, no humble obeisances. Your Grace, please, I have 3 questions in one. It's about the 8,400,000 species of human cycle. I think the 400,000 is the human species, right? And that include the angels and the demigods. And the demigods, do they sin? If they don't sin, why is it that they have to go to cycle of birth, life and death, birth and death?
Yeah, okay, good question. So, of all the species that exist, the human species is called Karma Yoni. And the other species, they are known as Bhoga Yoni. Animal species, tree species, demigod species, demon species, they are called bhoga yoni, and human species called karma yoni, which means only a human being is judged for his or her karma, evaluated. But in all other species, you are just functioning as per what is predestined or pre-programmed. So an animal will behave like an animal, no choices. So no karma is generated. It's only that that animal is experiencing what was done in the past in that animal body. Same thing with demigods. Demigods are bhoga yonis. Bhoga yonis means they are given that facility to enjoy because of the good things they did when they were human beings. Right? Fine. So when they do a mistake, then that does not produce a new seed of karma. It just produces an immediate punishment and finish. For us, when we do something, it does not just produce the result, it also produces a vicious cycle of that same karma. We'll study that in Nectar of Devotion book, But for demigods, for animals, it doesn't happen. So there is an automatic cycle of going up and down. So for the animals, it is pre-programmed that slowly they will evolve to the human face. And for the demigods also, it's pre-programmed that slowly they'll degrade to human face.
Oh, okay.
It will happen. And then they come back to human form. That's like, I'm on the neutral ground. I start with my karma again. So as a human being, you can create bad karma. As a human being, you can create good karma. As a human being, you can come out of the karma cycle. But for animals and demigods, they can neither create good karma, they can neither create bad karma, they cannot come out of the karma cycle.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you so much.
That's all. You had 3 questions, you said.
Yes, I think I asked them all together. Yeah.
Really? All right. That's
yes.
Okay. Vaiji Mataji.
So much. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. First, a caveat, this question is not a challenge. It's just a question of, trying to understand. So there is this line, I think in the introduction, where he says he considered the women class and Shudra class. So basically, it starts with he then thought of the less intelligent class of men, Sri, Shudra, and Dvija Bandhu. He considered the women class and Shudra class and Dvija Bandhu. Now, my question is, so he's classified all of them as less intelligent and says that the Mahabharata and the 17 Puranas are given to them. Yeah. So does it mean that this class, it's enough for them to just read the Mahabharata and Puranas? Why should they even go up to, the Upanishads? Hare Krishna. Again, apologize if it is offensive, but I'm just trying to understand, why it is classified that way.
Okay. So the intelligence, when here we have discussed this before, but anyway, intelligence is the ability to analyze and discriminate. Fine. When the scriptures say these classes are less intelligent, it's not that they cannot discriminate between one material element and another material element. What it means is that for them, it's very difficult to discriminate between what is spirit and what is matter. That discrimination is there with whom? That's called Brahmana class. Brahmanas have that discrimination. Even Kshatriyas, they don't have that discrimination. Vaishyas also don't have that discrimination. Only Brahmanas have. That's why it's called Brahmanas. Brahman janati iti brahmanaha. Fine? So for those who are Brahmanas, when they study the Upanishads like we are doing now, because of their very sharp intellect, they are able to very clearly understand this is matter, this is spirit. But for those who are not that intelligent, they cannot come to such conclusion. So for them, the same message is given in a different language. This doesn't mean that they're deprived of that knowledge. It means that you present the same knowledge in a different manner so that they can understand. Sometimes people think these classes are deprived of higher knowledge. They are not deprived of higher knowledge. The higher knowledge is presented to them in a way they can understand. So I always give this example. Let's say you're preparing a student for a competitive exam. In India, there are so many competitive exams, engineering, medical, etc. So when they go for this coaching for IIT exams, the person who is tutoring them, he will give them a question. And then he will teach them some tricks, how you can solve that question in 2 steps. Fine. But a student is not that sharp. And that's why sir, I don't understand. Please, can you elaborate? Can you elaborate? Then that same teacher will break down those 2 steps into 20 steps. And will say, okay, you go from this step to this step to this step, this to that, and brings that student to the same solution. Right? Did the teacher do any kind of biased behavior here? No, because he taught the answer to a very intelligent student, as well as taught the same answer to a not so intelligent student. For a very intelligent student, 2 steps. For a not so intelligent student, 20 steps. At the end, the result achieved by both of them is the same. That's how Vyasadeva wrote the Vedas in a particular manner for very intelligent people. But then out of his compassion, he saw, what about those who cannot understand it? So then he wrote down in another form. They can understand. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Danila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I wanted to ask you something that is it possible that from the human life, we got a human body in this life. So in next life, is it possible that we can get an animal body? Then how will we repay our karmas? Because you said that in animal body we don't have karma, no? Something like this.
We don't create new karma. So in a human form, you created some karma, and because of that karma, you'll get some bodies, not one body, you'll get many bodies, different kinds of bodies. So you go through those bodies as a result. But after you're finished going through those bodies, then you come back to your human form of life. You come back to human form of life. That will automatically happen. So let me give an example. Let's say a human being lived for 60 years. That human being created some karma. Okay. As a result of that human being becomes a cow, becomes a pig, becomes a tree, becomes a fish, becomes some more forms of life. In like that, 10 lives, 10 different bodies. Okay. Finish.
Yeah.
Now, not all karma is over. Some karma is still left. And then with that karma left, this person will again be given a human body.
Okay.
So in this human body, again, he will create new karma. Like that. So in those 10 bodies, he just enjoyed or suffered his karma. Did not create any new karma. When human form comes, again creates karma.
It is not that we are animal first and in our, as if we are from animals and we come to human body, or is it we can come from human bodies and animals and human body?
Yeah, anyway. We can go anywhere. Not that first one was born as an animal, then one became a human being, then one will become a demigod. Not like that. It's not linear, movement. It's a cyclic. And it can go in any direction. Like that.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
David, you already asked a question.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Your Grace, Sri Hanuman. I learned during the battle in Kurukshetra, Arjuna was holding his flag, and he played a very, very big role in Rama and Sita's time. So, for instance, in Nrsimhadev, because of he has to complete the promise he gave to Hiranyakashipu, he has to come to that form. So Sri Hanuman, why did he come in the form of half monkey and half man? And did he come from spiritual world or his human species like us? And the monkeys we have in this or material world, are they descendants of Sri Hanuman or is different from them?
Okay, so two questions, but they are not interconnected. Nrsimhadev coming to protect Prahlad Maharaj, that form of Narsingha is an eternal form. He exists in that form in the spiritual world also. And because Hiranyakashipu did not know that such a form exists, he put some conditions: cannot be human, cannot be a demigod, cannot be an animal. So Nrsimhadev's form fits all of those conditions, and he came in that form and killed Hiranyakashipu. That's a different thing. Now, when talking about Hanumanji, Hanumanji belongs to the spiritual world, no doubt about it. That form of his is an eternal form. However, there is a form of material bodies also like that, and that is called Vanara species. Vanara is not monkeys. Monkeys are different and Vanaras are different. Okay, so there are some species who fall in the category known as Kinnara. Kinnara means, Kim means what? Nara means human. So when you look at them, your question will be, what kind of a human being is this? Because they are like humans, but they are not humans. Means their face may be like a horse, their face may be like a lion, their face may be like a monkey, but their body will be like a human.
Oh, okay.
Or their face will be like a human, but their body will be like a horse, body will be like a bird, body will be like a monkey. So Vanara species is not the monkey species that we see. Vanaras, they live in a different planet. It's called Kinnara Loka. So they live there, also known as Kim Purusha Loka. So they live there. And they are a species which fall in the category of humans, but they are very much more powerful than humans.
Oh.
So that's why they are in some way called as demigods, some sort of demigods, because their controlling power is more than humans. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So the question, why did he come in this form to assist Lord Ramayan?
And to assist Lord Ramachandra. First of all, Hanuman has that form eternally.
Okay.
That's how he is. So he did not take a particular form. He's like that only.
Oh, okay.
Eternally is like that. Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Anushka Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can you elaborate on the process to know whether someone has reached the extent when he has reached the point where he is in completeness or experience of Krishna, like he has reached there. So what is the eventual outcome of it? Apart from personal satisfaction, is there renunciation or are there other aspects with regards to the complete experience of Krishna?
That will be differently in different people. It will not come out as the same, because the pure love of God, when it manifests in the heart of any living entity, depending on who that living entity is, that manifestation will come outside in different manners. In someone's life, it will show as extreme degree of renunciation. In someone's life, it will show as extreme degree of knowledge. In someone's life, it will show as extreme degree of surrender. in someone's life. It will show as extreme degree of, serving attitude. So different people will manifest that perfection differently. So you cannot really have a parameter like that to judge it, right? There's a different way of judging it. And that we'll discuss in the book Nectar of Devotion.
Okay. I have another question, Prabhuji, that it is in relation to our past class. What is the difference between a demigod and a rishi? And who are the sub-rishis and what are their relevance in our present world situation?
Sapta Rishis, 7 rishis, 7 sages. Sapta Rishis are very powerful personalities who also take control of some affairs in the whole cosmic administration. Now, how are we related to them? In some ways, it is explained that they are the source of all that exists. So from them, everyone has come. Life has come. They have assisted Lord Brahma in creating population within this world. Okay. At the same time, these Sapta Rishis have some duties, specific duties within the universe. It's explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. They are positions, they are posts which keep on changing. Sometimes some particular 7 personalities become Sapta Rishis. Some other times, some other 7 personalities will become Sapta Rishis. Now, how the Rishis is different from demigods? The Rishis, they stay on planets above the demigods. And the demigods are those who are beings above humans, but they have strong attraction towards sense gratification. Rishis are species above humans, but they have strong attraction towards living a renounced life. But they are both above humans. They have powers more than humans. They can control material elements more than humans. But then demigods are those who want to enjoy, and rishis are those who want to perform tapasya, practice austerity, and work for the well-being of others. That's the difference between rishi and devata.
Okay.
Rishis are sages.
Thank you.
Thank you. So they do austerity, they write scriptures, they educate. Their purpose is to uplift the human society by giving them knowledge. And the demigod's purpose is to help the human society achieve sense gratification.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. All right. Thank you. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. We'll do mantra 1. We get time, we'll also do mantra 2. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Dandat Pranam.